my name is Kainton the Genius, and today I'm going to be telling you 5 steps to move from a programming career to a career in data science. As they used to say now, data science is not just a hot career path, it is an essential skill for the 21st century. And they go ahead to explain that many things you see around you is powered by data, and that is what we are talking about. Almost everything has to do with data in some way. So data science is a skill you need to move from now into the future. So now there are 2 things you need to bear in mind. If you're already a software engineer, a software developer, or a very good programmer, there are 2 key points you should keep in mind. These are very, very important, so you really need to pay attention. Well, before I continue, if you are joining me for the first time, hit on the subscribe button below, subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any update from me. And if there's anything you want to learn, remember I'm the guy that shares his knowledge to everyone. Let me know by leaving me a comment in the comment box below. So now if you're a programmer, I don't know if you're a full stack developer or just a programmer, a web programmer, or somebody that uses some libraries like React or stuff like that. If you are into some of these, then there are 2 things you need to bear in mind. One, a programmer, a competent programmer has some edge over people with other skill sets. The reason is because a programmer is actually a problem solver. So a programmer does inter-domain problem solving because you can actually get involved in certain area of knowledge, understand it, and actually write a system or develop a program to solve problem in that domain. So you can actually move across any domain: accounts, procurement, finance, management. The reason is because you need to find a way to solve the problems that people have. So that's one edge that people have, programmers or software engineers have over other skills. So if you're a programmer, hold tight to your skills and also try to improve your skills from time to time, because the world of programming is not something static, it's something dynamic. It keeps changing. Like me, for instance, way back in time when I started learning programming, I actually started with Fortran. Imagine Fortran. And from there I moved to COBOL, like actually Fortran, COBOL, and BASIC. I was learning this 3 at the same time. Gradually I moved to Visual Basic, to C++, to C, to C++, gradually moving across the generations. And actually all these things is not something somebody was telling me to do. I actually have to put the effort to learn these things by myself. I have to stay sleepless nights. I have to go to look for a computer wherever it is, because I never had a computer. So at that time, way back in time, I was actually spending time writing programs on a paper, on a paper using a pen. So the point I'm making is that programmers are people that keep up to date with the current technology skill, the technological development along the line. So we are problem solvers, and we can easily get into any domain and build a system to solve problems in that domain. So keep that in mind. So you have some edge because you can actually get involved in some other field of study in a very short time, get up to speed with it, and create an efficient way to solve a problem there. Second, data scientists, many of them actually don't do anything much. In the real sense, many people who are users, who are computer users or data analysts, think that they are data scientists. They actually want to feel good by saying they are data scientists. Actually, they are data analysts, business analysts, end users, and stuff like that. They are not data scientists. Let's not make that mistake, and let's not mix up data science with data analysis, or being a data analyst from being a data scientist. Because being a data scientist is actually something that it's not everybody that it's not so many people that are actually data scientists. So at this point you need to actually ask yourself what you want to do. Now the difference between data analysts and data scientists is much, and I've explained it in another lesson, but I'm not going to be talking about it right now. I'm going to be talking about, if you're already a programmer and a good programmer, I'm not talking about an enthusiast or somebody that's just watching YouTube videos and trying to learn programming. If you're already a programmer, you've worked for some years in programming, you build systems, then getting into data science is simply one step away from you. In fact, you are just close to being a data scientist at this point. So there are simply 5 steps you need for you to become a data scientist if you're already a programmer. Now, let's also not mix up machine learning and data science. Machine learning is a different thing. Data science is also a different thing. These are two different things we don't mix up together, but they are related. I actually have made some lesson before now to explain the difference between data science and data and machine learning. Again, let's now look at the 5 different reasons why you can 5 steps to take for you to move from a career in programming or software engineering to data science career. So now before I continue, let me say that if you're a full stack developer that you can develop right from the front end across to the back end and you have knowledge of databases, then you are actually having data science close to your fingertips. You can easily get there. But if you are just a programmer or a developer, maybe a software engineer in one certain field, maybe a C# developer, a C++ developer, a PHP developer, then you have more steps to take. So in this case, I'm talking about steps to be taken by every programmer, irrespective of, regardless of whatever extent you are good in programming. The first step number one, get some knowledge of databases, right? So there is this move from monolithic application to microservices. And that's somehow a little bit of problem for programmers, because in this way we are segregating all the components of an application development life cycle. We have the UI, we have the data, we have the middle tier, we have different sections has been now separated into what is called bounded models. So in this case, you might actually be restricted based on the organization you are working. You might actually be restricted in one certain corner without your knowing what is happening in the other area. So if you don't have some knowledge of database, try to get some knowledge of database, because the bridge between a programmer and a data scientist, let's put it, is data, right? Programmers actually work with data, and data scientists work with data as well. So the bridge between a programmer and a data scientist is data. So if you're a programmer and you don't have good hold on databases, then you need to get it. So in this case, I'm talking about not necessarily that you need to actually learn particular database platform. You can actually get into any database platform, especially if you've been working with as a software developer. You can actually get into MS SQL. It's very easy. I've actually made a lesson now. If you look at my website where I have these 5 steps outlined, you can actually see section where you can actually go to learn a bit of database for you to be able to write to move towards data science. So I was saying before, you need to acquire some knowledge of databases, learn something about aggregation. We're talking about functions that aggregate data or summarize data. Talk about something like the mathematical related function like average, count, SD, a number of them. We have qualis, we have MVL, we have var, a whole lot of functions that is used to collect, aggregate data from databases. So these are part of things you learn in databases. This is not just learning about joins. Joins is very important. You have all this inner join, outer join, full outer join, and stuff like cross join and so on. Understand all these things. Let them be on your fingertips. So basically, spend some time to acquire a knowledge of databases. Now you can do this by taking an online course. If you're already a programmer, if you're a beginner, you are not a programmer or software engineer, then you can go in this way. But if you're already a software engineer or a programmer, you can simply acquire using a few weeks to acquire some database knowledge of databases, and that is the first step you need to do. And while you get this knowledge of databases, see how you can use it to bridge your programming knowledge and your database knowledge. Try to build a system that actually gets data into a data store into a database and actually be able to fetch this data, be able to summarize this data, present it on a web page, and stuff like that. So also see how you can prepare graphical output of your data. That will help you move towards data science as it is. Step number 2, you need to review the related mathematics of programming. There have been this question that people used to ask: do you need mathematics to be able to be a programmer? The answer is actually yes. But do you need very complex mathematics to be a programmer? The answer is no. You don't need to go to start learning all this geometry, trigonometry, Laplace transform, Fourier series, and stuff like that. You actually need basic maths, and this basic maths is not like addition and subtraction. They are number systems, especially. I'm talking about number systems like binary numbers, base 4 numbers, base 8 numbers, decimal numbers, hexadecimal numbers. The reason is because the number systems aspect of mathematics is actually how the computer represents information in the underlying system. So, and this is also kind of a bridge between you as a software engineer or as you as a programmer and data science. Why? Because data science has to do with most of the time manipulating numbers. Not most of the time, a good amount of the time, data science has to do with manipulating numbers. So try to learn about number systems, trying to learn about how to convert between the number systems, try to see the principles behind number systems conversion is actually really very interesting. If you search through my channel, you can actually find many material that can help you learn how the number systems actually work. So step 2, you need to get a hold of relevant maths for programmers. If it's something you already know before, try to review it again, because many people actually try to run away from mathematics. Not because it's difficult, because they already have some bias against mathematics, and this is something we actually should try to clear, to erase from our minds that maths is difficult. Maths can be difficult, but it depends on what maths we are talking about. We are talking about basic maths, number systems, and they are actually very interesting mathematics you can get into. So let's not restrict ourselves to this bias that maths is difficult. So get some knowledge of mathematics, even if it means going to take some textbook like K.A. Stroud, which is engineering maths, or some engineering maths designed by John Baird, or something like that. Then that will be fine. That will be very good. So the reason is because as a programmer, you need to be smart. Programmers are very smart people. Make no mistake about it. And they don't shrink. They don't hold back from taking challenges. So they take on challenges, and they want to get there. They have the spirit of I can do it, and that is one thing that defines programmers and software developers. So get some maths into your head. That will be very good. Not only that, not only will it sharpen your skills, it will also move you towards your destination, and that is data science. I also mentioned about statistics. Okay, I've not mentioned about statistics. Another aspect of maths that you need a very good firm hold of is statistics. Why? Because the key theory or principle behind data science is statistics. And what is statistics? It simply has to do with aggregating data, making some science out of data, summarizing data, large data set, and getting some statistics from this data. That's why we talk about population and we talk about sample, remember? So population is the big one. You have a population of the world, 6 billion, a population of the country is 360 million. But there is nothing you can do about this population. You can't sample everybody in this population. You can't find out everything about everybody. You can only find out something about a few people you select if you are doing some research or some data science related research. So what are we saying? Statistics is a way for you to see how you can make some science out of the data you have. Because you can't have the whole data, you can have a subset of the data. So how do you make some science out of a subset of the data and use it to predict what is going on in a bigger data set, like the population of the United States or the population of Nigeria or population of Hungary? But we actually need to do that almost every time. We need to make some decision or make some inference or prediction from a small data set to project it into a bigger population, and that'll be fine if you have skills of data science and analytics. Then let me also not forget another aspect of mathematics you need. You need probability as well. So I've mentioned three things: the number system, statistics, and probability. These are the three aspects of mathematics you need as a programmer. I have a little primer in my website as well that will bring you up to speed with the statistics you need as a programmer that is moving towards data science career. So another aspect, this is step 3 now. The step 3 for you to go towards from programming to data science is for you to have knowledge of collection types. Now, when I made a video about collection types in Python, I was actually trying to say what is the difference between a set, a list, a dictionary, and a tuple in Python. Now, all these are collections. Now, if you also go to Java, you have the hash map, the set, the hash table, and many other collection types. As a programmer, I'm sure you have some knowledge of some of these data structures. But basic knowledge of these data structures is not enough. Try to get really into these data structures. See how you can manipulate these data structures. Try to learn something called complexity. The complexity or the big O notation, where how you can calculate the running time, the complexity, I think that's the word to be used, of or the execution time of the algorithms. For instance, you want to count number of times duplicates appear in a string of numbers, or you want to count the prime numbers in a list of in a number between one lower bound and the upper bound and stuff like that. So we have data structure. For instance, if you're applying for a job in some big tech company, they always ask questions on data structure because you need to be smart for you to be able to crack those coding questions that has to do with data structures, because Google and many others, the algorithms that power the heuristics behind their core operations like search engines is actually based on data structure operations. So get used to collection types as a programmer and understand data structures and algorithms very well in different languages, or if you have particular language, understand the data structure components of this particular language that you have chosen. So number 4, you need to use Jupyter Notebook and RStudio. So now, if you start learning Jupyter Notebook and RStudio, these are tools for data analysis and data science, but you can start learning them. Why? Because these are GUI applications that you can easily get some tutorials on them and actually move on in them, and with time you can get a hang of using these tools. The more you learn bits of data science stuffs or things that can help you move to data science, the easier will it be when you actually get really into data science. So get Jupyter Notebook into your system. I think if you install Anaconda, it's easy. You have Jupyter Notebook in your system. Install RStudio. Start seeing how you can get what's it called, sample data sets. Try to play around with this data set. Create a data frame. View the data frame and manipulate the columns and things like that. So these are things you can do with Jupyter Notebook and RStudio very, very easily. If you also look at my website, you also look at the description box of this video, you can see links to the tutorial site of Python, for the tutorial site for Jupyter Notebook, for RStudio as well. So these are things that can help you move towards data science. So finally, the last thing you need is for you to have somebody to assist you, because no matter how much you spend time to acquire personal knowledge or to do self-learning, the little time you spend with an expert or a genius like me will actually supersede plenty of time you spend trying to do self-study. So have somebody that actually is ready to share his knowledge, because unfortunately what I find out in the IT world, unfortunately I must tell you this, many IT professionals don't want to share their knowledge. Why? Maybe they are thinking that they spend so much time and effort to acquire this knowledge. How can they just impart it to someone very easily in a short time? So they are saying in effect that everybody have to put the necessary efforts to be able to acquire knowledge by himself. But that is not me. Kindson the Genius is different. I'm here to share my knowledge. As you know, my objective is to share my knowledge with you, because I believe that's the easiest way for you to grow in your knowledge is to share it with others. When you give out knowledge, you acquire more knowledge, you want to give out the knowledge, and that is how it works. You show that you actually want people to come up with ideas. You want to bring up new developers, new programmers, new data scientists. That is actually what I want to do. So if you have challenges, let me know. I'm going to personally help you. So that is why the fifth point is find a guide, find an instructor to help you from time to time. This instructor is going to not only teach you some of these things in actual sense, but it's going to give you the necessary motivation that you need, especially when you come to something that looks like a dead end, or somewhere that you find something like a roadblock that prevents you from moving on. It happens like that for programmers every time. At some point in the course of your studies, you find out that you can't solve certain problems. It's like you've tried for several days, you can't solve this problem. For many enthusiasts or new learners, beginners, they actually give up, and they are learning efforts end there, and they don't want to continue. They draw a conclusion that programming is difficult. Programming is for nerds, is for introverts, but all these things are just rubbish. Simply because they simply get stuck and they don't have the will to continue moving on. So number 5 says find an instructor like me. If you try to approach me, I can do a one-on-one with you. I can give you my time every week, maybe 1 hour per week, to get you up to speed, to move you across some hurdles that you've encountered along the line. So simply let me know by writing me or leaving me a comment below and tell me what you want to do or where you get stuck, and I'm going to help you. I've actually done one-on-one, face-to-face on Skype or screen share with some and help them solve their problems along the line. So let's just recap what we've said. We said the first one is, I think I've made a note of them. The first one is get some knowledge of databases. The second one is review programming related maths, and the third one is get used to collection types in the programming language of your choice. Number 4, start using some tools like Jupyter Notebook and RStudio. And number 5, get some instructor to guide you and motivate you along your pathway from programming to data science. So if you do all these things, there is no way you will not become a data scientist in a very short time. So I would like to encourage you, I'd like to motivate you not to give up. You actually will get there. And this is my website. Just in case, you can always bookmark it and always go to it. You'll find something new at every time. And if you have any question, any challenge at all, please feel free to let me know, and I'll always be there for you. So I'm going to stop here, and remember, if you've not subscribed, hit the subscribe button below, like the video, share it around to everyone, because the key thing is we want people to gain the knowledge they need. Knowledge is very expensive, the most expensive asset, but it's free. Actually, from my own view, it's free because it's always there. So let's get this information to as many as possible. Let's motivate young ones to take up the challenge of acquiring new knowledge and moving from one aspect, from one skill base to another one. In this case, we are talking about becoming a data scientist with a knowledge of programming. I remain Kindson the Genius, and I'm always there for you.